Hey guys, Grant here. I want to tell you all about my friends at Black Bear Inn and Suites of Gatlinburg who are making it possible to bring this episode to you. As you guys know, I grew up in East Tennessee, and there are two things that all East Tennesseans have in common. We all love the Vols, and we all love the Smoky Mountains. Since I've moved to Nashville, I've been unable to get my Smoky Mountain fix in, but thankfully, our friends at Black Bear Inn and Suites of downtown Gatlinburg have me covered. They are conveniently located at 1100 Parkway and are within walking distance of all the major attractions and best food that downtown Gatlinburg has to offer. To book your Smoky Mountain getaway today, visit blackbeargatlinburg.com or call 865 436 5656 or toll free at 1 800 933 0777. All right, welcome into this episode of the Volin' Out podcast. My name is Grant, and joining me, just as he does each and every single time here on the show, I have Jordan with me. Jordan, how are you doing, man?
What's up, brother?
Dude, I'm doing all right. How are you doing on this nice and cold Sunday?
Man, I'm good. I am fantastic. How about yourself there?
Man, I can't complain. Lots of good basketball on yesterday, lots more on today, and man, the boys are here to break it all down for everybody. So, man, we got a jam-packed show. I ain't even want to run through the roster just because we got so much. You ready to jump straight into this, man?
Both feet first, buddy. Let's go.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So the Vols just absolutely I don't even know what to say. Vanderbilt forgets that their anchor even needs to go down, man. Let's just put it that way. Vols
Oh,
empty out the bench in a blowout win over Vanderbilt with 13 different players seeing action on Saturday night's affair inside the Food City Center. Vols now improved to 15-4 against Vanderbilt under Rick Barnes. All starters score in double figures, and Vols dominate the all-time record 131 to 76, 77 and 20 in games all-time played in Knoxville.
for anybody keeping count now, that is now a 57 game lead in Knoxville.
Ooh-wee.
That record won't be touched again until we probably die.
I think that our grandchildren will be dead by the time that's even able to be close. I mean, it's just not. I mean, dude, I don't even understand why Vanderbilt chooses to play on the hardwood against Tennessee. Honestly,
Dude, it was a absolute just. I got one word for it: mollywhopping.
that's what it was, man. I mean, the game was never close
No,
by any means, and Tennessee just kind of jumped out in front and held down on everything from Jump Street.
I mean, dude, that game was over with from the start. The Food City Arena was Food City Center, excuse me, was hype, dude. Looked like a big orange rave with the glow sticks and all that. And it pretty much was because the Vols were out of their mind last night, dude.
Well, I mean, Vanderbilt's not a good basketball team. Spoiler alert to anybody who has not watched college basketball this year. Vanderbilt is not a good team. And Vanderbilt now, after this loss, moves to 7-18 on the year and 2-10 in conference play. Like, good Lord, man. And then there's some news that came out today that I will get to a little bit later in the show that involves certain people out in Vanderbilt not being employed anymore. But that's neither here nor there right now at this point. But Vanderbilt just in the midst of a abysmal season that everybody who is a part of Commodore Nation will be very quick to hope to forget it, that this one ever even existed, man. But kind of diving into some stats with what the team did yesterday. Look at this up here for everybody who's on YouTube, watching on Spotify or anything like that. But Jordan, every single starter, double figures.
Buddy, I love to see it. There's one in particular that I like to see, and that's going to be my player in the game later.
Okay. Well, kind of diving into what players did individually, Jonas Adu seemed to really be the guy that Rick wanted to have play for longer than anybody else for some unforeseen reason that nobody can really kind of figure out on that one. I think a lot of it had to do with he needed to get a little bit more production from the bigs in this game. But at the same time, man, I mean, Jonas Adu in 20 minutes shot 5 of 10 from the field. 1 of 2 from the free throw line, 8 boards, 2 assists, 3 blocks, 1 turnover, and 11 points.
That's a solid stat line right there. Rock solid.
I mean, he stuffed the stat sheet on this one, man.
Yeah,
Next guy we've got coming up is Mr. DK3 himself, who led the Volunteers in points scored for the 90th millionth time on the season this year, is what it seems like. Dalton Connect in 22 minutes scored on 6 of 11 baskets, 1 of 5 from three, 1 of 1 from the line. He got 4 rebounds, 5 assists, no blocks this game, which is kind of odd after he threw out that block party in Fayetteville.
right.
1 turnover, 1 foul, 14 points. Zakai Ziegler in 24 minutes, which that is my favorite number on this whole thing. Zakai Ziegler only
Yes,
played 24 minutes.
yes,
By far the best stat of the whole game.
yeah.
But 5 of 6 from the field, 4 of 5 from three. No attempts at the line, which like I said last time he had it,
That's
really
weird.
odd. No rebounds, kind of odd because the guy's been crashing the boards a lot lately, man. But then
Yeah,
5 assists, 2 steals, 2 fouls, 14 points once again, who actually tied Dalton for the lead for the Volunteers on Saturday night.
man, it's still like you say, it's strange to see that Ofer stat on the free throws, man. Like, how's this kid not getting to the line?
Well, and man, it's not even just Zakai. Like,
We got
look
three
at the
guys up there.
list. 3 guys that were starters, and
Yeah,
then a hell of a lot more on the bench. Like, I don't understand that, man. Like, it seems like this team is just scared to get to the free throw line for whatever reason.
yeah, it's almost weird. Like, just go to the rack. They've not had a problem doing it all year. Go to the rack.
No, well, and you're playing your best basketball when you play inside. Like, what game was it? Was it Arkansas where Tennessee led with the most dunks they've had all year in that game?
Yeah, I mean, your offense, in theory, always starts inside out. You work inside, you start inside, work yourself out. But you know, got three starters not getting to the free throw line. That's and only 11 attempts on the night. That's a bit low, man.
It's
Because you can't
not.
tell
It's not where
me
it needs to be.
no, you can't tell me Vanderbilt played us that clean.
Well, they didn't. It's Vanderbilt. For
That's
Christ's sakes, Vanderbilt lost by 35 points in this game.
of course, we're splitting hairs here, winning by 35 and being like it's almost like we're like that's not enough, but that's not what we're saying, you know?
Yeah, I mean, man. I mean, Tennessee could have won the game by a whole lot more, but Tennessee made it an point of emphasis to get those guys out of playing 40 minutes a game, 35 minutes a game. And we got a lot of guys who got to sit down and get a lot of rest in this game. And I really think that is going to pay dividends for what the team can do moving down the line later into the year. But Zakai was 0 at the free throw line. That is something that I'm not too thrilled to see, but also it's Vanderbilt at the end of the day. And he
Yep.
knew going into the game he didn't need to do that.
Right. Right.
So, next guy we're going to move to on this list is Mr. Santiago Vescovi. We're going to give you a round of applause here on the show today, bud. 22 minutes, 4 of 6 from the field, 4 of 5 from three, 3 rebounds, 5 assists.
That's what we want to see right there.
0 turnovers.
Yes, sir.
0.
Goose egg.
Good Lord, man. And then 12 points. Santiago Vescovi is going to be known this season as the Commodore Killer.
The Commodore Killer. The
Since that's the only
Commodore
team he can
Killer.
play well against, we might as well call him the Commodore Killer. But, just love to see him doing that. Josiah Jordan James in 18 minutes, 5 of 7 from the field, 3 of 5 from three. We will go with 7 boards for Triple J, 2 assists, 3 steals, no turnovers, no fouls, 13 points.
Man, just that was, I mean, 7 turnovers on the game as a team. That was a really clean basketball game by Tennessee.
Very, very, very. I mean,
Like squeaky clean.
well, and then you dive into what the rest of the team did. 47.8% from the field, 45.2% from three, and then 72.7% from the line. Albeit Tennessee only got to the line 11 chances and made 8 of them. But still, really good numbers for Tennessee across the board, with the exception of the free throw line. But at the same time, You make 8 out of 11. I'm not going to critique that.
Right.
Jordan, one question I've got for you. Who
Sure.
on the bench out of the guys that we saw play last night that we haven't really got to see impressed you the most?
Carr. No
Man.
doubt about it. No doubt about it. And I know this might be the next question you were going to ask, but how about Tobey last night too, man?
Man,
Those two
Tobey played a
guys,
really good game.
those two guys right there were solid, man.
Yeah. Well, and then, there's no way we can possibly sit here and break down what everybody did who got into the game last night. Because guess what? There's a 15-man roster and 13 guys got in the game. I don't have enough time to tell you what everybody other than like Kellen and DJ didn't do because those only two didn't play. I mean, I don't have time to
Right.
sit here and tell everybody that. Like, we had walk-ons get in the game. I mean, for Christ's sakes,
Right.
just really good to see that. But I mean, man, Jordan Gainey in 20 minutes, 0 of 6 from the field, 0 of 4 from 3, 1 of 2 from the line, 1 point.
Man.
He didn't do as
man.
much running as he used to.
This
Like
is true.
he added a couple of other things in, 2 assists, got a rebound,
just sort
fouled
of
somebody, turned the
Yeah.
ball over too.
At least he got mad at somebody, mad enough to foul him.
Yeah,
But
it's kind of crazy to me with how good he's been over the past couple of weeks. And then all of a sudden we get into this and it's just, I don't know what happened in this game.
maybe our boy's just one of these guys. He's like, you know what? It's Vanderbilt. Everybody else has got it. I'm taking the night off.
Well,
I don't know.
shit, he can right there. I mean, look at it. Cam Carr, like, my boy Cam Carr right there ended his night with 8 points, which I thought was actually 9, but this is telling me 8 right here.
2 for
Man,
4 from
just a
3.
lot of really good guys on the team played last night. And, Rick even talked about how he wished that Tennessee would have played an easier schedule through this point in the year. You and I
Right.
both have heard him say that, and we'll
Yes.
listen to him talk about it here in a little bit. But, man, like, getting to see these young guys play was the best thing that we saw last night.
Well, we've had 2 games back to back that have just been absolute throttlings, and we've got to see some of these guys that we don't get to see a lot of come out and get some valuable.
Of course, man. I mean, but Tennessee just really needs to keep it rolling right here. That's going to be the biggest thing on what can happen right there. So, moving on to what Vanderbilt did. Surprisingly, Vanderbilt played more guys in this game than Tennessee did. But Vanderbilt only had one player score in double figures, and that was Van Allen Lubin, sophomore out of, I believe it's Orlando. Other than that, man, nobody did anything, and Vanderbilt played 95 guys on their bench just like Tennessee did as well.
Rivera Torres, 7, second leading scorer. Nope. Lawrence, excuse me, 8.
Tyron Lawrence, yeah. I mean, man. And then Rivera Torres. I mean, you have so many guys on this team who can go do other things, but this is just what they chose to do. I mean, then look at this, man. Shot from the field, 33.3% from the field, 28% from the deep ball, 50% from the free throw line, and they shot 20-0. Like, dude,
Oh man.
oh my gosh. Talk about ugly, ugly, ugly basketball game the Vanderbilt played right there. I mean, just
Man.
god awful.
They couldn't hit the Food City Center with a truck last night.
Dude, they couldn't have hit water if they fell out of a boat right out there on the Tennessee River if they were outside just playing on a yacht,
You're
that the
right.
Vol Navy gave to them. But kind of diving into leaders for the teams on that, Dalton Connect led the Vols with 14 points, where Van Allen Lubin led the Commodores with 10 points. Jonas Adu, 8 points, led the 8 boards for the Volunteers, led on that side, and I believe that is Corey Lang with 9 boards. It's C. Lang. I can't remember what his first name is. Don't come at me.
Clang.
Clang.
We'll call him Clang.
There we go. Clang. And then Ezra Mannion led the Commodores with 3 assists to Dalton Connect's 5 for Tennessee, which was the leader right there. Now, breaking news today. Stackhouse Anchor is up and leaving Nashville. Jerry Stackhouse was fired on Sunday morning. Stackhouse was hired in April of 2019, signed a 6-year deal that would have expired at the end of next season. All-time record is 68-87, 1-9 versus Tennessee, and Jerry Stackhouse was the 2022 SEC Coach of the Year.
Well, you remember here a while back when we had our good buddy Corey on from Locked On Vandy. He kind of may have mentioned this a little bit, that this was coming down the pike for him.
I mean, man, it's hard not to. I mean, first off, I don't care where you are in basketball. If you're coaching a high school team, or you're coaching in the SEC, or you're coaching in the NBA, 7-18 is not a record that anybody's going to accept.
No.
It just is what it is on that. But man, here's going to be my argument on this. Vanderbilt's jumping the gun way too early on a guy who 2 years in a row, made the NIT finals.
Well,
I know it's not the NCAA tournament.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, this is Vanderbilt we're talking about. We're not talking about Tennessee. We're not talking about Kentucky. We're not talking about Auburn. We're not talking about Duke, North Carolina. I mean, anybody. We're talking about Vanderbilt right here. Vanderbilt's goal year in and year out should be to make the NIT tournament. You do better than that? Great. Good job, Vanderbilt. You do worse than that? Guess what? Nobody cares.
Right. Well, and he was SEC Coach of the Year last year. That's kind of a bold move. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't understand why Vanderbilt's choosing to go this route. Now, once again, the record this year has a lot to do with what it is. But this man on our screen right here, in my opinion, doesn't deserve to lose his job. He deserves a pay raise for having to put up being at Vanderbilt and coach inside of Memorial Gymnasium every single week.
You savage.
I mean, dude, it just is what it is. Like, he's not that bad of a coach.
No, he's
and
not.
Stackhouse will end up with a better job than Vanderbilt, despite being fired by Vanderbilt. He can live the buyout life if he chooses to, or he might make a jump back to the NBA, what he was doing before he came to Vanderbilt. Maybe, just maybe, he might say, hey, Rick Barnes, you got any assistant coaching jobs open? I want to come learn from you.
There you go. Come learn from his daddy. I hope he remembers to send him a Father's Day card this year.
Well, dude, these two are actually really good friends.
They are.
They are great friends. And man, I just hate it for Stackhouse because I really think that he is a great coach and he is getting the raw end of the deal, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. Well, you can tell too, whenever Rick talks about him, he has a ton of respect for the guy, and it's mutual both ways. I've never heard Ricky Dell have one bad thing to say about Jerry Stackhouse.
Well, no. I mean, how can you say anything bad about the man? He took a job at Vanderbilt where he knew that this was going to happen within 5 years. Let's be realistic.
Right. Well, and, not just that. I mean, he's 9-1 against the guy. Why would he say anything bad about him?
Yeah. I mean, well, hell, I think Rick Barnes wants him to stay a whole lot longer at Vanderbilt. But it wouldn't surprise me to see Jerry Stackhouse end up in a better situation than where he is sitting at right now with losing this job. And then so there was this thing too that came out earlier today whenever they fired him. Let me see if I still have it pulled up over here on my iPad, but you're going to think this was pretty funny. So I'm going to paraphrase on this right here since I can't seem to find it. But it's like Jerry Stackhouse. It was like Jerry Stackhouse losing to Tennessee is completely unacceptable. And that's why they were moving on from him pretty much. They basically just said, you embarrassed the shit out of us with what the game was last night.
Well, I mean, they call it like they see it, I guess.
Right. Well, man, let's hear what Rick Barnes had to say at the end of that game last night.
Let's do it.
In that first half, I guess about 5 minutes to go, you called the timeout after Vandy got a couple of baskets and kind of seemed upset at the defense at that moment. Just kind of what went into that, and were you kind of trying to make a point? I think you were up by 23 at that moment.
Well, really, honestly, I wanted Jonas Adu to be more part of the offense because we worked hard with trying to get him more involved, and I think we took 3 straight threes there at one time without any thought of putting the ball to give him a chance to play a little bit. And what he does is not easy, and we've talked about enough, really and truly, that we got guys that can shoot, and we expect them to shoot when they're open. But at some point in time, I think we missed a couple in a row, but we had talked about getting him more involved, and we lost sight of that.
Go Wes, Ryan, Reese, Mike.
You talked about how well y'all played tonight, especially for that 20 minutes or so. Was that just absolutely sticking to the game plan, or just making more plays, or a wrinkle that y'all had against them that you haven't had before?
No, I don't think any of that. I don't think we did one thing that their staff wasn't prepared for. I don't. I mean, this time of year, and they knew, but we made shots. I mean, I've said before, it all looks nice when shots are going in, and it was that really. And I thought defensively, again, I really believe what I just said to you earlier, the respect that our players have for the schemes they run, and want to do a better job guarding it, or doing the best job we could guarding it. And as I said, they still got some looks that I'm sure that they would like to have, and we've had games like that too, where we executed but didn't get the result because we didn't make an open shot. But I do, again, I thought our guys were really locked in on both ends to start the game, and it's, to me, the ultimate respect that you can give an opponent.
With two lopsided wins this week, Dalton and Sakai, a number of starters you were able to give a little bit less minutes, and they've been getting. Just what's the significance of that at this time of the year?
Well, I hope it's big. I do think both of those guys, hopefully they can benefit from it, because we do have a quick turnaround. Tuesday, tomorrow we'll just scrub the game out and have a prep day to get ready and go play. But I guess we'll find out after the game in terms of, because I'm a big rhythm person. I think that when the team gets in a rhythm, you want to try to ride that wave. But with that thought in mind, I hope that because they have played so many minutes this year, that it'll benefit them. I'm not playing as many tonight.
Coach Cam Carr, how have you seen him improve, and what's the next step in his development?
Well, again, I thought he played hard and played long minutes, which, early in the year, he was a guy that got fatigued after a minute or so. And all those young guys, they need time. They need it. I've talked to you guys about it before. I wish we would have had a schedule maybe earlier in the year where, we could have got those guys more minutes in certain situations. But what they have benefited from is practicing every day against the team that they go against every day. And I've watched in practice all the coaches we talk about it, how that gap was wide and it's starting to close up from them learning how hard to play, what you got to do. And so even though they haven't got as many minutes as you'd like to get them in a game, the fact is they've gotten better because of who they have to go against every day, because you guys watch us practice and those older guys are pretty locked in every day. And I'm just really, really proud of the fact that they played the game. They really, truly tried to play the game the right way when they were out there. It wasn't coming in, nothing like garbage time or that. They understand they were valuable minutes. And what they're learning is it's a game of trust. And they want us to trust them as a coaching staff. It starts in practice, but when you get minutes in the game, you're not out there trying to show things you can't do. You're trying to show the things you can do.
From a similar question, but Cade Phillips, what's he done to kind of reinsert himself into the rotation lately?
As you guys know, we thought he would be a guy with a red shirt, but the older guys came and said we're going to need him at some point. And like many, many freshmen, he went through a period where he had somewhat, I guess, in the valley, where he leveled off and kind of lost the edge he had. But he found it over the last 10, 12 days. He got back to doing what we wanted him to do and play the role that he needed to play. It goes back to what I mentioned just a few seconds ago about trust. He's got the trust back that he needs from all of us, not just the coaching staff, but his teammates, knowing that he comes out there, he can impact the game.
And that is what Rick Barnes had to say after the Vols' big win over Vanderbilt on Saturday at the Food City Center. Jordan, what takeaways do you have from what the head man of the Volunteers had to say?
Well, buddy, it was nice to hear him kind of echo some of the things that we've talked about on here, as far as, younger guys getting some experience, wanting Adu more involved. And you could tell last night Adu was a focal point because, like he said at one time, he called that timeout and just chewed some hind end because he wanted him more involved.
Well, and as he should have been. I mean, man, that's why Jonas played later into the game, is what that tells me right there, is because he
Right.
wasn't happy with how he played earlier in the game. Well, Jonas is the one starter who kind of played after that 12-minute mark in the first second half. So it's kind of good to get to see that. The biggest thing, man, that I love, and I was texting with my dad during the game last night as well, texting with you during the game, the young guys got to play.
Yeah.
And you can tell Rick loved it. You loved it. I loved it. My dad loved it. My dog loved it. Everybody loved it.
Yes.
Because we're watching the future of Tennessee basketball, one. But two, man, some of these guys on this team could contribute right away. Like,
yeah, if we were to get a guy go down, Tennessee has somebody go down, Cam Carr, that'd be a good one to stick in there. DeLeon, I hadn't seen enough of him though, but I think, it would be beneficial to get him some more time.
well, he needs to get more. So let's go back to last year and let's just rewind in our memory banks for just a split second. And I challenge all the viewers and listeners to do this as well. Rewind to February 28th, 2023. Jordan, do you know what you were doing on February 28th? Most people probably don't.
I can't say that I do.
I was at what was then called Thompson Bowling Arena watching Zakai Ziegler tear his ACL that night against Arkansas on senior night. And the reason why I want to bring that up right there is if Freddie DeLeon, well, he was a part of the team, but he already told everybody he wasn't playing that year. If Freddie DeLeon would have been available, Tennessee would have looked a lot better. Now, I think if there's an issue with Z where he goes down again, like he did last year, Santi runs the point. Gainey helps run the point. But you need some more minutes to where Santi's not having to play 40 minutes a game and then still run around and be Hercules and trying to score on offense at the end of the game too if you need him to.
Right. No hero ball.
No. And so you need a guy like Freddie DeLeon to be able to step up and do stuff like that. I'm not saying I want to see him take minutes away from Santi. I want him to take just a few minutes away from Z. Take 4 or 5 minutes away a game from Z. If we can get Z down to that 30 to 30 range, 35 range right there, perfect.
Big.
That's where I want to see it at.
We need those fresh legs for that March run.
Well, it's not sustainable how many minutes he's been playing this year. So let's just be realistic when we talk about it that way. He's going to have to limit the amount of minutes that he's bringing in if Tennessee's going to be successful and be able to cut down nets, the first weekend in April, like we've talked about since we've started doing this show. So I want to see more from Freddie DeLeon. I do too.
We and actually I seen one of our faithful listeners, viewers on YouTube commented on it about taking minutes away from Santi to give to DeLeon. It's not that we want to take minutes away from Santi or anybody. It's just, he needs that experience.
Well, he has to have that experience
to make that time valuable that he is going to get later on. So, and honestly, it was more when we were talking about that, it was more, let's figure out how we can light a fire under Santi. It wasn't anything to do necessarily with his play. But I can't remember the guy's name right offhand. He's new to us. Thank you for subscribing to us, by the way. Made a good point. That's all.
Yeah, really good point right there. And we want you to we challenge you to listen and watch more and interact with that video. So make sure you guys are continuing to do that. But Jordan, player of the game, man. I mean, I think that this one could go a lot of different directions, but give me yours and then I'll give you mine.
Santiago Vescovi.
It's hard not to go with Santi, man, but in this game, it's hard to go with anybody who's not named Dalton Connect when he's wearing orange and white. It's just hard, man.
It is. I wanted to go with Santi though, because we've dogged him enough this year. He's earned one at least, and this was it. 4 for 5 from 3. 4 for 6 from the field total. He probably had his best game last night. I don't care that it was against Vanderbilt. Do it.
Well, shit, I don't care either. At the end of the day, a dub's a dub. And if you have that great of a game, that's all that really matters at the end of the day. So
Right.
I want to be able to see more and more and more of this, like Santiago Vescovi, who has been given the Ballin' Out podcast player of the game.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, here's the real question. Total team effort like that last night. Who's on the milk carton?
Well, man, as much as I hate to say it, Rick Barnes just didn't do his job. He's going on there. Just kidding. Just kidding. It is
Man.
Mr. Jordan Gainey today. I mean, 1 point. You played the best ball of your career over the past month. This is more so just an ode to throwing it back to the early days of Ballin' Out, is what it seems like. But Jordan Gainey,
Throwback.
man, you are on the Ballin' Out milk carton today.
It's a shame we was not doing this on Wednesday. We could have been way back Wednesday.
Way back Wednesday, man.
Throwback Thursday.
Yeah, I know, right? There's so many different ones. I mean, what's something we could come up for on a Sunday?
Man.
Second Chance Sunday. It's his second chance to be on the milk carton.
There you go. Second Chance Sunday.
Well, it's more like his 85th chance, but we're not going to go there. Well, man, let's run a break real quick. Let's hear from some of our sponsors, and then we'll be back as soon as we can.
All right. If you're looking for the perfect Smoky Mountain vacation, Mountain Romance is your cozy romantic getaway. Starting at $129 per night, you get 2 bedrooms, 2 full baths, and this beautiful cabin will sleep up to 6 people. With an amazing mountain view, fire pit, pool table, and hot tub, this place has it all and is located within minutes of downtown Gatlinburg. To inquire, go to Airbnb and search for Mountain Romance or email bearslair2021@gmail.com.
All right, guys. If you all are anything like me and you have a hard time waking up in the morning until you get that caffeine in you, come give our friends at W a try. Each energy blend that they have created comes with no calories, no sugar, no fillers, and no artificial colors. So you go online, you go buy it, it comes to your house. It comes in a little container with powder in it. Scoop it out, drop it in your shaker, add water, shake it up, and you're good to go. It's that simple. Tastes amazing, no carbonation, no added sugars in it, so you don't get that sugar crash at the end of your energy buzz. Let me tell you guys, this stuff is amazing. My favorite flavor is Beach and Peach, which is a white mango peach, and oh boy, stuff is great. Let me just tell you. Go to w.gg on your web browser and type in promo code VALLINOUT for 10% off. VAWLINOUT for 10% off.
This next segment is brought to you by Three Kings of Cardboard, the go-to spot to upgrade your sports memorabilia collection. Check out their Facebook group and eBay at Three Kings of Cardboard. I have dealt with them personally and will not deal with anybody else. My favorite item from them is my Jalen Wright 1-of-1 Bowman U Superfractor that they have pulled me. Check out our friends at Three Kings of Cardboard today.
Well, man, Jordan, there's been some baseball played over this weekend, hasn't there?
Yeah, man, they've been swinging the sticks, buddy.
We got some stickball. Tell us what happened, man.
Man, baseballs. They beat Texas Tech the other night on Thursday night, actually, 6-2. AJ Causey, he got the win on 4 2/3 pitched. Gave up 2 hits, seven strikeouts. Russell 4 1/3 pitched, 3 hits, gave up 2 earned runs, 1 base on balls, and had 10 strikeouts. So 17 Ks total on the night for the Vols pitching staff. That's throwing some heat, buddy.
Mr. AJ Russell, man, that dude is a baller.
Yes, sir. Amick, we talked about him on our baseball
Billy
preview,
Amick?
man. Yes, sir. Hit a dinger, went 2 for 4, 2 RBIs, 2 ribbies.
So hang on real quick with Billy Amick as well. He's the transfer from Clemson, if I remember right.
You are correct, sir.
Okay. So I'm knowing something about baseball.
Right. Mr. Inslee last night, 1 for 5, 1 hit, 1 RBI. He struck out at the plate twice, so could have been better. And then Blake Burke, early slump, 0 for 3 Ks, 0 for 5, 3 Ks.
Oh, yikes, man.
Man, yeah.
That's ugly.
That one was an ugly one. Then last night, they played OU. They dropped it 5-1 in extras. Went to the 10th inning last night. Let's see here, and really not much to talk about, but OU pitching, man, we just couldn't get Tennessee just could not get on it. Struck out 15 of our batters.
Well, and this one did go to extra innings as well. It just seems like it kind of fell apart right towards the end of that one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well, and Tennessee left a lot of ducks on the pond with guys on base and stuff. That was a problem last year, early, and then it became an issue against LSU in the College World Series. It was one of those things, dude.
It was an issue for everybody who played LSU last year.
Well, yeah, when you got the big unit 2.0, Paul Skeen throwing heat,
Yeah, man, he's winning on and off the field. I can't get over the fact that he's dating Livy, and then he's able to go be a Major League Baseball player, dude. He's living every young man's dream right now.
Yes, every adolescent puberson dream. I mean,
he's living mine too, and I'm almost 30, so
right. And then nothing really touch on for him today, but they do the baseballs do take the diamond against Baylor tonight at 7:30.
7:30 Eastern, yeah. So, guys, these have only been available on Flow Sports right now, which I don't know what you know about Flow Sports, Jordan, but there ain't a damn way that Grant is paying $30 to watch Tennessee baseball this weekend. It ain't happening. So,
not this weekend.
It's been kind of one of those weeks where I've not really been able to keep up with it as much as I would like, but starting on Tuesday, Grant and Jordan will be able to watch the game since they will all be moved over to ESPN Plus after this.
Yes,
so
sir.
We'll be able to break these down a little bit better for you guys.
A little bit more in depth
when it comes to that. But Jordan, man, SEC? Is it time to look around the SEC?
I'm interested.
SEC. All right. So we're going to talk some big boy basketball here today. I mean, dude, one of the better Saturdays in the conference, without question, in my opinion on this.
Yeah, especially towards the top. More interesting, I should say.
Lots of movement, honestly, after all of this. So Alabama just continues to do Alabama type things. Texas A&M rolls into Tuscaloosa and rolls right out with an L. 100 to 75. Not a whole lot to talk about from this one. Alabama moves to 10-2 in conference after this.
Bama can score the basketball, man. Did you know too? They have scored 100 points 8 times or more 8 times this season.
I've seen that stat. I was actually just about to touch on that. Crazy.
It is
crazy how good this Alabama team is. But I'm going to tell you this, man. Tennessee matches up so well against Alabama. It's not even funny. It's not even funny.
Well, we held them to what? Tennessee held them to what point total earlier in the year? Was it like 68, 69?
It was something in the 60s right there. Tennessee really just kind of controlled that game and never let Alabama kind of get even involved. Let's see. We're pulling it up. That was in the first week of December, and it was mid-December. They scored 71 points. The Volunteers won that game 91-71. And since then, Alabama's only lost 1 game.
Yeah.
And that was to Auburn. 1 game. Kind of crazy to think about right there. Next, we're going to talk about the Florida Gators, who have won 8 games in a row now.
I'm telling you, man. I know we all love to hate on Florida, but that's if I have a sleeper team in the SEC right now to make a tournament run, we're talking NCAA tournament, SEC tournament, it's that team right there.
Florida Gators look really, really, really good right now. They beat up on the Georgia Bulldogs 88-82. A little bit too close in there for a trash Georgia team to be able to stick with them that close, in my opinion. But still, at the end of the day, I'm going to take it. Walter Clayton had 21 points, where Thomason for the Bulldogs had 26.
Wow, man.
Talk about some scoring out there.
Yeah, buddy. I mean, I don't really want to say too much about Georgia being trash because we did barely sneak by them.
Georgia's trash.
I'll go with you. I'll allow it.
They're trash. They're not. There's no allowing. They're trash.
I'm not saying they're good or even, you know, above average, but
They're a very, very, very below average team, and I
you
don't
know,
understand how Mike White still has a job. I mean, for Christ's sakes, the Bulldogs are 14-11 on the season. Not good. Now, let's talk about what was the most interesting game of the entire week for me, not just in the SEC, but in all of college basketball. The LSU Tigers go on the road to Columbia, South Carolina, and beat the 11th ranked Gamecocks to give them their second loss of the week, 64-63.
man, Carolina's on a skid right now, buddy. 2 in a row.
It's not, dude, like it's not even good. Like, so in that game, and I watched the whole thing yesterday. I was texting you during it, and I was
Yeah.
like, dude, LOL at South Carolina. I think it's kind of funny, honestly, just after how much we talk them up, and then they
Right.
go and they shit the bed like this. But Jordan Wright was him at the end of that game.
Oh,
Him, dude. Capital H, capital I, capital him. He was him. Like,
Period.
it's not even close, dude. South
Man.
Carolina is still a good team. I'm not
They
saying
are.
anything bad about South Carolina. They're just going through one of these stretches right now. Tennessee could go on a stretch.
Yeah. I mean,
Also-
just as easily.
Well, so here's the thing right here, man. Do you know what the combined total is the South Carolina lost by this week?
It was, man, 42.
41 points.
I knew it was 41 or 42.
41 points. And they only lost one of those by 1 point. That's all I'm going to say. Moving on to the next one, another really surprising but really good game. Once again, Kentucky gets back on the winning ways, and they defeat Auburn by 11 points on the road.
Yeah.
Antonio Reeves, 22 points, 8 of 20 from the field. Dillingham had a great game as well. And then Janai Broome, who I've said it on this show before, I'll say it again. The best center in the SEC is Janai Broome of Auburn. He only had 14 points, but he also had 11 rebounds to go with that. So there's that. Man, Bruce was not happy. But did you get a chance to catch any of that game at all last night, Jordan?
Man, I didn't. I kept up with the score, but I'll tell you this. It did. I know it did end a 16-game home win streak for Auburn.
Yep.
I did see part of Bruce afterwards. He was tore up from the floor up, buddy. He was hurting for certain.
Well, so I'm going to stop you on this right here for a second, and I'm going to go back to one of my favorite things about Bruce when he was at Tennessee that he's continuing to do at Auburn. It was their Outlive game, which is the fundraiser for testicular cancer in the name of Chris Lofton. Still at Auburn. Tennessee stopped doing it for some stupid reason.
Yeah.
But Auburn's continuing to do it. And I love it. I almost thought about buying one of the t-shirts that they have, but I just don't want to have anything that has Auburn on it.
Right.
But I love that Bruce is still doing that, man. And I'm glad it's not against Tennessee, because I think a lot of Tennessee fans would have a really big problem with that if he was continuing to do it against Tennessee.
Right. But man, I always liked Bruce. I'd met Bruce several times, and he was always super nice, man. Super nice.
Great guy. His great family. Just I hate that things didn't really work out the way that we wanted them to on Rocky Top. So after a wild Saturday, we have some updated standings for you guys.
Man.
Alabama's still sitting in at first place.
One thing though that I want to touch on. Did you? Okay, so Kentucky won 2 games this week, correct?
Yes.
Both of them, they played a little defense in them, and against decent scoring teams. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see Cal last night after the game?
Slick Suit? I did not see Slick Suit after the game.
He was like playing it off like, before that, he was playing it off like, oh, we're not that good, blah, 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 blah. When he does that, he knows he's got something, and he's fixed what needs to be fixed. I think we may see a different Kentucky team come senior night in Knoxville. I'm not saying they're going to beat us, because they're not, but just saying. We'll see.
Nah,
we'll
we
see.
ain't worried about them. We're going to send them back to the coal mines all upset.
Oh, we will.
So We have new SEC standings for you guys.
Ooh.
Lots and lots and lots of movement after the wonderful Saturday that we all had in college basketball. So Alabama is still sitting in first place, and your Tennessee Volunteers are now ranked second in the SEC, with Auburn and South Carolina jumping in and holding in a spot of third place, where Kentucky and Florida are now tied for fifth place. No, fourth place. Sorry, math is not my strong spot right there. So you've got, basically all the way from Alabama to Kentucky, you have really good teams. And after that, there's everybody else.
Yeah, yeah. Any of those top, but it would not surprise me to see Florida and Kentucky, the way South Carolina's playing right now, maybe even Auburn. Auburn's not been the best lately. The way those two are playing right now, it would not surprise me in the least bit to see Florida and Kentucky jump up into those two spots, because it's a half game.
I still think your top four is going to be in any way, shape, or form, and you can insert your own order here: Alabama, Tennessee, Auburn, and South Carolina. I just think that we're at that point in the season where we know who's playing the best ball and who's not at this point.
Sure.
Now, my question goes to you, Jordan. I did
Okay.
it last show. Give me your top four for the buys in the SEC.
Oh, buddy. Let's see here. We did, man. I think that Tennessee Bama game is gonna decide that top seed, and I'm gonna say the Vols go down there and do it. So Tennessee, Bama, Auburn,
Okay.
Florida.
Florida. You're going to put in Florida over South Carolina?
I am.
And I'm still got
bold.
either Tennessee or Alabama's one. After that, the other one's two. 3, give me Auburn. 4, give me South Carolina. I'm still not moving South Carolina out of there. And I still think South Carolina is going to win a lot of games. I think that they're probably going to get another win against Tennessee whenever Tennessee goes down to Columbia. Not calling for a loss. I'm just saying I think it's a bad matchup for Tennessee at the end of the day.
See, that played into my thought process there, because hell, man, if I wanted to get wild, I'd say Florida, Tennessee, Bama, Florida, Kentucky, because it's possible.
Yeah, it is, man. And Florida's got a really good team, which makes me feel like I don't know anything sometimes. Whenever just a couple weeks ago, I'm like, oh, yeah, Florida's not going to make the tournament. And then look at where they're at now. They've shooed themselves in easily.
Yeah. It's one of them things. I'll stand by the top 4 that I gave, but it would not absolutely surprise me at all if it wasn't Tennessee, Alabama, Florida, and Kentucky.
It wouldn't surprise me either, man. That's what's so good about this league that we love. So, Jordan, got another question for you.
All right.
Top 16 was dropped yesterday. Is it time to talk about the top 16?
I believe it is. Let's do it.
So, guys, we got some bracketology for you today. So, yesterday on Saturday, the NCAA released their top 16, which basically is just saying, hey, we've picked our 1, 2, 3, and 4 seeds. Here you go. Here's who they are if the tournament was to start today. So, number 1 overall seed is Purdue. Number 2 overall is UConn. Houston is number 3 overall, and Arizona is number 4. That's your 1 seeds. Your 2 seeds are Tennessee as your first, North Carolina second, Marquette third, Kansas fourth.
Mm-hmm.
Third seeds are going to be Baylor first, Iowa State second, Alabama third, Duke fourth. Your 4 seeds, San Diego State first, Wisconsin second, Illinois third, Auburn fourth. There's a lot right here that kind of jumps out to me because, well, Jordan, give me a takeaway that you have that has to do with where Tennessee's sitting at, and then a takeaway for the entire the rest of the teams.
So what that's telling me is they think we're probably, by seeding and the thought process here, the 5th best team in the country.
Yeah, that's exactly what that's saying right here.
Okay, so I'm good with that. I've said it before. I would not want to be the 4th 1 seed, I'd rather be the top 2 seed.
But it's the first ever 1 seed in program history, this, that, and the other.
Yeah, but we're setting ourselves up for a big failure there because just as well as I do, if Tennessee doesn't go at least to the Sweet 16 with that 1 seed, everybody's going to be pissing and moaning wanting Ricky Dale fired.
Well, and I mean, for good reason at that point. If you're a
Yeah.
1 seed, you shouldn't lose in the first 2 rounds. It shouldn't happen. Now here's the biggest takeaway that I have when it comes to what Tennessee's been given when it comes to this right here. They're still saying Tennessee might be a 1 seed. Tennessee probably will be a 1 seed. Let's look at it this way. You have 4 teams in front of you that have a chance to mess up horribly over the next little bit. Now, just like Tennessee does as well. But they're saying Tennessee, you could probably be as high as a 3 or as low as an 8.
Right.
And that's kind of where I'm seeing Tennessee at right now. One thing that I love on this too, look at all the teams Tennessee's played that are up here. Purdue, North Carolina, Kansas, Alabama, Wisconsin, Illinois. Auburn will be up on the schedule later this year. Tennessee has played the who's who of college basketball this year.
Yeah, they really have. The one team that I think is pretty much safe, the 2 teams in this that I think are pretty much safe where they're at, Purdue and UConn, as far as being ahead of us.
Yes, I think I've said it all year long, and I'm going to say it again. Tennessee is the 3rd best team in college basketball this year, behind Purdue and UConn in that order. That's the way I've said it whenever I've built anything over the past month. You know it, Jordan. Everybody knows it who listens. Tennessee is the 3rd best team in college basketball this year.
Now,
I think Tennessee's better than Houston, better than Arizona. I think Tennessee had a fluke night against North Carolina at the Dean Smith Center.
we're a bit stricken that night.
It wasn't a good night with that
rigmarole of it.
I mean, but you look at it right here. So Tennessee lost to Kansas, North Carolina, and Purdue.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee's beat every other team on this list that they've played.
Yeah. One team that interests me in this, though, and I heard them talking about it on TV yesterday too, and I thought, well, he's got a good point. San Diego State as the top 4 seed. Do we really know how good they are? Because we don't see them very often.
Well, they were in the national championship game last year, and they returned a lot of players from that team. So we do know how good they are.
Good point.
I mean, man, honestly, hot take right here. Duke is only on this list because they're Duke.
Good point.
1 point right there.
They kind of snuck past Florida State yesterday. They didn't blow them out. Florida State's not a great team.
No, Florida State's not a good team. I'm also going to say this. Auburn won't be on this list when this comes back around.
I could see that.
And neither will... I don't want to say they won't be on the list. They won't be where they are on it. Kansas will move down to a 4th seed by the end. Auburn won't even be on the list. And South Carolina works their way back up into this. Now, everybody's going to be like, oh, my God, there goes Grant saying, go Cox, go South Carolina. No, I'm not saying that. Even though it does seem like I'm a South Carolina fan with how much I've talked them up this year.
First off,
let's be realistic.
Don't you ever say go Cox again on Balling Out.
right. I think it's reserved for Andrew right there, or whatever they say. But
I got one more thing I want to mention on this. This might be a bit of a hot take in itself.
Okay,
I think Iowa State, of course, it's not too far off. They're not far off. I think Iowa State has a strong case for a 2 seed. They've been playing strong ball.
They got a better case than Kansas does right now, I think.
Yeah, and I think I think that Kansas, if they drop down, that'll be the team that moves ahead of them.
I could see it happening, man. I mean, we're getting to the best part of the year in college basketball. Enjoy it while it's here, because, man, this is going to be running away from us.
It's going to be gone before we know it, man.
It really is, man, and I'm not ready for it right there. But that has been our look around the SEC and bracketology, brought to you by our friends at 3 Kings of Cardboard. Jordan, I think it's time to talk Mizzou now. Like I said, we have a jam-packed show today.
I know it, man. We've been sitting here pounding sand all day, and I love it.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. So the Vols take on the Tigers in Como on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central on the SEC network. This is a newer series for Tennessee, man. Like, Mizzou is a new team to the conference still. What was it, like 2013, 2014 when they joined? Tennessee's only played them 21 times. Vols lead the series 11-10. Vols have lost 2 in a row in the series. Both happened back in 2023. So there was the buzzer beater that they threw up on us in Knoxville the same week of the Vanderbilt buzzer beater.
Oh,
so
man. That was a
what a
rough week.
great week for Tennessee basketball. Then they beat us in Nashville in the tournament, man. So Tennessee needs to get right in this game a lot quicker than I think that we're all going to see. Like Tennessee's got to come out there and got to control this game.
This is one of those games that we talked about, that killer instinct, stringing them together. They need to. I'm curious to see if Tennessee can string, these next couple together before Auburn and Kentucky and teams like that start coming to town. And we got to go to Tuscaloosa because
I hope
they
so.
need to. They
I
need
hope
to.
So. Yeah. It ain't no hope, and they need to. You're right. One thing in this too, Mizzou is coached by Dennis Gates. Gates is in his second season with the Tigers. All-time coaching record is 83-64. He was previously at Cleveland State in Ohio before he took the job at Mizzou. Mizzou is 14th in the SEC, 8-17 on the year, 0-12 in SEC. Not a whole lot to talk about right there. Now, sorry to you guys who are watching. My graphic looks horrible, and I'm just now catching this. So my bad on that. Shoot the producer. Don't shoot my beautiful co-host who didn't have anything to do with building this graphic. It was all me right here. So I'm gonna take the blame on that one. I'm gonna take the blame on this one right here. But Tennessee is averaging 80.5 points per game, where Mizzou is averaging 72.2. Tennessee's allowing 67.2 per game, where Mizzou is allowing 74.5 per game. Shooting numbers are almost identical. Tennessee is at 45.5% on the year, where Mizzou is at 44.5% on the year. Reboundings, Tennessee leads by a whole lot. Assists, Tennessee leads by a whole lot. Mizzou actually leads the block numbers at 5 per game, where Tennessee is at 4.7 per game. And Tennessee narrowly beats them out in the steals per game with 8 per game, and Tennessee has won 2 games in a row, and Mizzou has lost 12 in a row.
Man.
Going into the last 5 opponents for each team, Tennessee's last 5 were Vanderbilt, Arkansas, Texas A&M, LSU, and Kentucky. Tennessee only lost to Texas A&M on this list, where Mizzou's lost to everybody. Their past 5 have been Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Texas A&M, Vanderbilt, and Arkansas.
Man, just for poos and giggles today, I was like, I'm going to see what the average losing margin is for Missouri in conference play. What do you think it is?
Oh, man, dude. It's average margin in a loss in SEC play. So it's taking in the entire conference play. I'm going to say 16.
No, sir. Right at 10, 9.9.
Seriously, I thought it would be a lot larger. I mean, like, look, and I'm basing it off of this. I'm basing it off of this that we're looking at right here. So they lost to Ole Miss yesterday by 3 points. I thought that Mizzou was going to win the game. Honestly,
I did too.
I watched the whole game. I thought they were going to win it. Mississippi State, they beat them like a drum. Texas A&M beat them like a drum. Vanderbilt, not so much, but Vanderbilt doesn't beat anybody. And then Arkansas beat them, but not by a whole lot. Really, it's only 10 points per game. That's kind of shocking to me.
I think a lot of it plays into, early in conference play, they lost a couple of closer ones. So, it comes down to, South Carolina barely beat them in overtime.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was South Carolina's first season series sweep in like 3 years.
And Florida, I want to say Florida barely snuck past them. Georgia barely snuck past them. They've had some close games. So honestly, man, what that kind of tells me, I'm not going to say we're going to lose going to Como, because if we do, I do not want to be on this show with you come Tuesday night.
Can you imagine how mad I'm going to be on here?
Actually,
Oh
you know
my
what?
God.
I do because I want to see my man fired up. Actually, but I don't want it to be because we lost.
I was going to say, don't do it at Vol Nation's expense. I can get fired up easy enough by you saying something like that. I don't need Tennessee to fire me up at Vol Nation's expense. Come on, man.
Oh man, no, I don't want the Tennessee basketball team to take one for the team.
Just
But
for your own entertainment.
right, that's kind of selfish, isn't it? But what I'm getting at is it's a road game. It's been a problem for Tennessee this year. Come out, handle your business.
Handle it early and handle it often.
Yes, come out, put your foot on their throat, and do not pull it off there till the horn hits 0.
Well, and if you do, there's going to be a lot of issues in this game. So diving into the leaders for each team in this series, Dalton Connect, 20 points per game, where Sean East II, who is a senior from Louisville, Kentucky, leads the Tigers at 16 points per game. Jonas Adu is at 7.5 rebounds per game, where I believe his name, and I did not write this down, it's either Nick or Nate Carter. So I'm just going to call him Carter, 5 boards per game. And then Ziegler's 5.6 assists per game goes against Sean East, 4.2 per game.
That is actually Noah Carter, sir.
Noah Carter. Oh,
Noah
see,
Carter.
look at you, man. Look at you. You should have just jumped in and said, no, let me hijack this shit.
I got you,
it.
sir.
I got
I
it.
got
There
you.
we go. Let's do it, man. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing I'm seeing from this game that could give Tennessee any sort of issues, man. Like Mizzou starts out and they play hot right away, but then it goes right back to the wayside, man, at the end of the day. And Mizzou always finds a way to lose.
Digging into them a little bit, dude, they've got 2 guys that shoot 52% from the field. Sean East and Tamar Bates, like tomorrow, but Tamar.
Tamar Bates. Okay.
Okay. They've got 4 guys that are average 11 plus points per game. So
there's quite a bit going on right there. They just can't seem to get it rolling together yet.
Don't be surprised if it's a little bit closer than what we think it'll be. I don't think Tennessee is going to lose. They shouldn't. They better not. But I'm just saying, it wouldn't surprise me to blow them out. But knowing what we know about Tennessee on the road this year,
this should be another game where Tennessee can go and play 13, 14 guys off the bench and be able to get this one going how it needs to. Tennessee shouldn't be going into this game thinking, oh, Z, you got to play 40 minutes. If Z plays over 25 minutes, there's a serious issue.
Yeah.
In my opinion. And I don't want to see it go that way.
Well, and also, too, I want to point this out, too. Ole Miss, they were up by – here's the thing. Ole Miss was up, I want to say, by about 11 or so at
17
one point.
points at one point.
Yeah. So when I clicked on it was lower than that. But they were up, like you say, by 17 at one point. Man, Mizzou cut it to a point late last night. They clawed their way back into it. They're scrappy. So Tennessee's going to have to put them away.
Well, if I remember right, too, Mizzou led in this game. So it's not like they're a bad team. They actually play really good ball.
Yeah, and might be, who knows, it might be T-shirt night in Como.
Hey, who knows, man? Who knows? But we'll have to stay tuned and see, man. So, Jordan, I think we have covered literally anything and everything that has happened on the University of Tennessee's campus since we spoke last.
I think so, buddy. We've covered it like a blanket.
I think so. Man, I think it's just as good a time to end it as we always do. So, guys, make sure you check us out. Hit like, rate, and subscribe. We are on the race to 100 subscribers on YouTube. We are very close on that. So make sure you guys like, rate, subscribe, interact. We are trying to get that number up. It helps us bring this content out to you guys more than you'll know. So please hit that subscribe button with that. But with that being said, I'm going to end it right here and go Vols.
Go Vols.
This episode of the Ballin' Out podcast has been brought to you by our friends at Peace of Mind Enterprises. From construction, home remodel, down to general handyman services, Peace of Mind has you covered.
All technicians are licensed and insured, servicing East Tennessee with 30-plus years of experience. Call 865-202-7167 for a free estimate, because nothing beats having peace of mind.